everyone, it's Alexander, the real Mr. Robinson, and welcome to the channel. Welcome to another live stream, and we are pretty much on the home stretch when it comes to the original Godzilla series in this watch-along. We are doing 1974's Terror, got that completely screwed up, Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. And then Thursday, we'll be doing Terror of Mechagodzilla, and I'm going to put my phone on silent right now because it is just bugging me. For some reason, it is not charging, which is... Ugh, nothing can go right this year. Huh? But, yeah, we are just going to start this watch-along right now. Want to say hello to everyone who's joining us right here, all you regulars out there. I'm doing all right. California is just... I don't know, this pandemic just keeps getting worse every day. You know? It's unbearable. I just want it to end soon, but we're here to talk and watch Godzilla movies to hopefully keep our minds off of the hellhole that is going on out there in the world, and just how much America is an embarrassment. But yeah, hopefully I didn't lose any of you watching along. If you did, then whatever. But yeah, welcome everyone who's here. The regulars, as I mentioned before, Razorbike, GZilla100, DeQuan Tate, Justin Toner. And without further ado, let's just hop into it. So, again, if you're watching this movie through... if you're watching this live stream in either post or... like live, and you don't physically own this movie, once again, you can watch it through the Criterion. You can watch it through the Criterion channel or HBO Max. And this movie and Terror of Mechagodzilla will actually be the last two movies that you could watch on either of those formats, at least on HBO Max until we get to Godzilla King of the Monsters. Because the Heisei and the Millennium series are not available on any streaming services that I know of. So yeah, we are going to just hop into this right now. I am pushing for those of you who are owning the Criterion Blu-ray, I am pushing the play button right now. Razorbike mentioned when to say the Toho logo is popping up, so just in case some of you out there don't own the Criterion Blu-ray and the first thing that pops up is the Toho logo. So I will let you guys know when the Toho logo pops up, which is right now. There's Masato Sato's score, which we haven't heard since Son of Godzilla, at least in this series. This might be either my favorite of his Godzilla scores, or tied for my favorite with Ebirah Horror of the Deep. And once again, this movie opens up with Anguirus. I don't understand the reason for Anguirus being in this movie or Godzilla vs. Megalon. I mean, this movie makes slightly more sense than his appearance in Megalon. And the side of a mountain is blowing up. Because why not? Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla in that red, white, and blue titles card. I mean, I think my answer is everyone's answer. Kevin Conroy. If we're talking live-action Batman, GZilla100 says, asks favorite Batman. If we're talking live-action Batman, it's still Michael Keaton. Because I think he does a good job with both Batman and Bruce Wayne. Whereas I think Christian Bale does an excellent Bruce Wayne, but a passable Batman. And Ben Affleck would have been the best of both worlds if his Batman wasn't a murderous psychopath. Yeah, this you could definitely tell this is a Masato Sato score. And what's interesting, it's funny how the last two movies didn't really feel like movies that Jun Fukuda made. Like they just didn't feel like they felt more like studio movies with movies with a bunch of studio interference than actual movies that would come from Jun Fukuda. This one feels more like something Jun Fukuda would make. And this would be the last Godzilla movie he does. Cut to freeze frames of Godzilla vs. Gigan and Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. Just random destruction and people on fire. Sure. Yeah, screw that cane. And there's the main title playing again. You know, I'm just gonna say this right here. I'm under the impression that the kimono girl there, um, I'm going to assume that she just went nuts, and that she's probably just crazy, yeah? Because it's awfully coincidental that she would uh, foresee a giant monster attack coming just around the same time Mechagodzilla gets made. Too bad we don't get any more PG movies with kind of stuff you see in this movie. Like what examples could you give, DeQuantate? Because I feel like this movie here is just. I feel like this movie here is one of the more. Definitely one of the more acceptable movies for kids to watch. I told this story last. Yeah, I told this story last week. Um, yeah, I told this story last week, but one of the biggest things that irritated me when watching all the Godzilla movies that my local Blockbuster at the time had was renting Godzilla versus the Cosmic Monster on VHS, thinking it was a completely different movie because the back of that VHS tape showed Jet Jaguar interacting with Godzilla. And by that point, I had already seen Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. So when I rented this and realized that this was pretty much Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, I was like, well, that was a big waste of time. And it was the second to last VHS tape that my local Blockbuster had. So I basically wasted an hour and a half watching a movie that I'd already seen. She must have went to the same archaeological university that what's her name from the Mummy went to, in the Tom Cruise Mummy. Now, I'm not saying someone like her couldn't be an archaeologist, but the way her hair is so perfect and the way she's dressed just does not scream archaeologist. Why cannot I cannot speak properly? It's the way she dresses right there. Well, I guess it's not as. I'm gonna stop being a sexist douchebag right now. Ugh. That was a rabbit hole I probably should not have fallen down. Let's see. She's the one who says blood, gore, and cursing. You could curse in a PG movie. Like, that's no... cursing is in a PG movie is not a big deal at all. Wait, what's this big saga that Razorbike? What is this massive saga that you're talking about? Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla was the first movie to be released during the summer Hungary movie season in the country of Hungary. It wasn't released until 1989, and it was a 1974 movie. Horrifically stupid and one of the worst movies ever made. Considered as bad as something like Manos. And the 1989... Okay, no disrespect to the people of Hungary, but y'all got bad taste in movies. Like horribly bad taste in movies. Yeah, you can you could say fuck in a PG-13 movie once, maybe twice. Like if you're really sneaky and you could get a second one in there, then that's acceptable. Because I can't remember what movies, but I've seen a handful of movies where in the last few years where fuck has been said twice in a PG-13 movie. Yeah, you look pretty suspicious for a freelance reporter. The fact that he laughs so maniacally is something that you should just be cautious about. That zoom in. That zoom in into his face. Like the Godzilla series has some hilarious zoom ins of characters. And that includes all the bizarre zoom ins of monsters in last year's King of the Monsters. That was an expensive joke or prank. That was a long way to make to poke fun at somebody, literally and metaphorically. This movie just doesn't really waste any time going into the fact that here's space titanium. So it's like that's a big clue right there that, oh, there's already space aliens in this movie. Yeah, there's something suspicious happening right here. Shay Smithers, welcome. Yeah, it's after the studio like contract system in Japan basically got demolished in 1970. It is good to see familiar faces like Hiroshi Koizumi and Akihiko Hirata in these late of Godzilla movies. It's the Japanese Charles Bronson right there. Like, seriously, what is up with the Charles Bronson mustache? Or the hair? The score right here sounds like it would come from Yojimbo, actually. I mean, it is Masato Sato, but this doesn't really sound out of in place for a scene like this. It doesn't really look like a fight as much as it looks like two guys wrestling. He didn't even finish what he was trying to do. The Japanese version of Death Wish, Death Pillow. As so many people in the chat are bringing up right now. There's that creepy trench coat, mirrored sunglasses wearing freelance reporter. I'm sorry, reporter should have been in quotes also. What the? I don't. So there was a giant rock that flew out of Mount Fuji, and it revealed Godzilla. I'm sorry, Godzilla. Apparently, it's like, oh, it's okay. It's kind of daytime there. You know, it probably would have been a smarter move to have, because spoiler alert, this is spoiler alert, that's Mechagodzilla. Probably would have been a smarter decision to actually have Godzilla's roar. Because, I mean, people already going into this movie know that there's going to be a mechanical Godzilla. But just to fool like audiences who kind of went into this cold, it would have been smarter to have Mechagodzilla's in this. It would have been smarter to have Mechagodzilla disguised as Godzilla. Have Godzilla's roar. People could be like audience members could be surprised that Godzilla was the monster that was reported, since by this point it's well established that Godzilla is the good guy. She's just looking at her grandfather like he's the crazy one now. Like, there's nothing about that look that convinces me that she's distressed. But yeah, it could have been smart to have Godzilla's sound of roars right there. And then to be surprised that he's destroying a random hotel. I mean, this Godzilla suit, his fins are pretty much, his spines are silver as well, so not really much of a difference between the two Godzillas. Because that's the suit used for just Godzilla in this movie, so the spines are already silver. And there's Anguirus, which that role was once again supposed to go to Baragon, because Baragon is more known to be a subterranean monster, but I think by this point the Baragon suit was just damaged beyond repair and they didn't have the budget to fix it, so they just used Anguirus. Okay, we saw that road. That road is not windy enough for him to just drive like this. Then there's the clue that that's not actually Godzilla. Now, last week when I did Godzilla vs. Megalon, I mentioned that the little Godzilla prop that was used to show Godzilla swimming from Monster Island to the mainland was the fake Godzilla suit. Because if you look closely enough, the mouth is just constantly open, showing teeth, just like the fake Godzilla suit right here. And I want to elaborate more on that, because I think it was one of those things where they built the head of the fake Godzilla suit to simulate Godzilla swimming in Godzilla vs. Megalon. But since they found out that, since the next movie ended up being Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, I'm sorry, I'm getting these names confused again. I guess they just decided to build a body to the fake Godzilla head. Which is why we get more of a glimpse of fake Godzilla here. And at the end of Terror Mechagodzilla, when Godzilla goes out into the ocean. This is the... okay, a lot of people are saying, like, poor Anguirus and whatnot. But this is actually the first movie I ever saw Anguirus. So it... so it was like kind of a... it was a bizarre first impression. And just to have this random monster pop up and fight a fake Godzilla with no real context. And yeah, I think Anguirus being in this movie over Baragon works better because we've spent more time with Anguirus being Godzilla's friend instead of... and Baragon would have been just kind of random. Spiders Prime says, actually, Baragon never going to appear in this movie. I think... I mean... it's the same thing with Destroy All Monsters with Gorosaurus. Like, it's clearly a monster that emerged from the ground. So I think there was an idea to have Baragon be in that role. But since the Japanese film industry was not at its high point here, they just settled on Anguirus. Because Baragon is the only Godzilla monster that's known to be, like... well, outside of Megalon. One of the few monsters that's known to be a digger. And then there's the other clue that this was not Godzilla. The fact that he shoots fire out of his mouth and that it sounds like a laser beam. This is a very bizarre... this doesn't make any sense for what's about to happen right here. Like, this is the big point where... see, there's Godzilla. The real Godzilla this time. Like, why... did Godzilla come out of a building? Was he hiding there this whole... What? I'm so confused by Godzilla's introduction in this movie. You know, I'd be more... I mean, two Godzillas is just as confusing as... seeing two Godzillas is probably a good reason to be confused, but I'd be just as confused at what Godzilla was even doing in that building. And then these aliens just pop out of nowhere. Yeah, the way they introduced those aliens was not handled very well. They do blow stuff up real good. It is good to know that this movie does not rely on stock footage like the last two movies did. Sorry, that goofy, like, look of fake Godzilla just... It's just hilarious. Like, his teeth are constantly showing, his mouth never closes. You gotta love that alien, that leader of the aliens. Just always, there's never a shot in this movie where he doesn't have a cigar. Like, it's ridiculous. And there is Godzilla's second archenemy. So bizarre to think that this is one of the other most popular Godzilla monsters out there. Like, people that don't know Godzilla know that there's a Mechagodzilla. And he's introduced this late in Godzilla's career. Or this late in the series. And look at all that blood. Yeah, with that amount of blood coming out of Godzilla, Godzilla should be dead. Godzilla should be dead right there. There's something about this original look of Mechagodzilla that just screams the 1970s. The Venom or Wario to Godzilla's Spider-Man and Mario. That makes sense. Although, I hate to be a grammar nut. First of all, if you guys don't have Grammarly, please download that any way you can. But also, rather than using a comma, Spiderus Prime, just use a slash right there. Okay, this music is that boom, boom, just to show the repairs going on to Mechagodzilla. Oh, and he got... Okay, this guy is clearly a Bond villain. Like, he's got... He's got whiskey or wine, I guess. And he smokes a cigar constantly. You know, all this stuff, the fact, this whole thing about a prophecy, and that's the reason why Mechagodzilla appears and Godzilla and King Caesar team up. It's just stupid, honestly. I mean, it's a good way to get in another monster, King Caesar, but it's just like, can't Godzilla and Mechagodzilla just, I don't know. You know, he could, if he doesn't want to get noticed, he could just change his disguise every now and then. Put on a fake mustache, get a haircut, dress in a suit, lose the sunglasses. Like, he doesn't really need to wear that same trench coat and sunglasses. Especially if you want to, if the two main characters think that they've gotten the aliens fooled. So characters are trekking through Carlsbad Caverns right now. Or never mind, that's where the aliens are based. So the third planet in the black hole, wouldn't that just be an alternate timeline Earth? You know, one other thing I gotta say, it's a shame that Destroy All Monsters ended up coming out long before this movie, because since Destroy All Monsters takes place in 1999, if that had truly been the last Godzilla movie made in the order they were making them, this guy's so smooth. But anyway, like, if Destroy All Monsters had been made after Terror Mechagodzilla, they could have. It would have been a neat idea for the citizens of Earth to basically make their own Mechagodzilla after the aliens' Mechagodzilla technology. Yeah, I'm sure the reason you guys decided to take a boat was more than trying to outsmart the aliens. We know they're not on that boat. We know they're on that boat more than just business. It's like, I know a lot of Japanese films, especially in science fiction, don't emphasize love angles as much as American films do, but come on. Yeah, that. Jeez, come on. Like, Okay, I didn't hear Godzilla's roar. Did any of you hear Godzilla's roar? Exactly. I'm assuming that's Monster Island again. You know, they do the little moment at the end of the movie where Godzilla gets magnetized. They at least set it up here, but it really feels like shit. Godzilla doesn't actually have a way to destroy Mechagodzilla. So what if we just magnetized him? I mean, they set it up right here, but still kind of weird to me. And his back is sparking. Okay, you can cut now. Think we get the idea that Godzilla's turned into a magnet. Yeah, who was it? Razorbike brought up something interesting. We've never seen a movie that featured both King Ghidorah and Mechagodzilla. Like, what's up with that? Huh? How is it that we never, like, we've seen Mothra and Mechagodzilla in a movie together. We've seen Rodan and Mechagodzilla in a movie together. We've seen Mothra, Rodan, and King Ghidorah in movies together, but King Ghidorah and Mechagodzilla have never been in a movie together. And they should have, huh? The Japanese Charles Bronson is back, huh? She must be an excellent sleeper to not even hear the door open, huh? So this guy is what's his profession again? Because he seems to be pretty good at hand-to-hand combat. Ooh. That was just a little paint on his hand. Okay, now the Charles Munson, whatever. What was I? Charles Bronson mustache is gone. And now he's some sort of reptilian ape creature. Those are some weird sound of. I'm sorry, those sound effects coming from him are just so bizarre. Thank God there's nobody on deck in this early morning, because it's supposed to be night, but come on, that's clearly, like, it's clearly daytime out there. They just darkened the shot to simulate nighttime. Oops. maybe the 70th anniversary movie will have Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra, Ghidorah, Mechagodzilla. That could be a possibility. I mean, the Godzilla's 70th anniversary is only 4 years away. It didn't seem like that long ago. Godzilla was celebrating his 60th anniversary. Look at that tie. That tie stands out. But I guess not as much as a weird monkey man. I'm sorry, those sound effects coming out of him when he's moving the gun like this and just... And there goes the statue. And no splash whatsoever. I saw. He fell overboard with the statue. You know, he doesn't seem that phased. Wait, you mean you didn't hear the gunshot? You didn't hear the obvious gunshot that was made? How does that dude keep popping up? Wait a minute. Hey, Kenji Sahara. I didn't know you were in this movie. Oh, wow. Okay, this script is just lazy. Like that's so cheap right there. Oh, turns out the statue that he stole was actually fake. Like, really? Oh yeah, because Planet of the Apes wasn't even 10 years old by the time this movie came out, and I'm not sure like how many sequels that series was in by the time Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla came out. Let's see. Let me see how many movies the series was in at this point. 1973 was Battle of the Planet of the Apes. So the original series was pretty much done by the time this movie came out. Meanwhile, in Carlsbad Caverns, Okay, that music does not belong with this particular sequence. That's a good composite shot. And it'd give you a nice like size comparison to how big these monsters are. Okay, that is not a control room. That is a lounge right there. What alien control room has a luxury couch like that? Even though, honestly, that couch looks very uncomfortable. Just push him in. Army of the Apes was the Japanese TV series that was their own take on Planet of the Apes that ran from, I'm assuming you meant to say 1970 to 1975. The Mystery Science Theater 3000 show Time of the Apes is from that show. Interesting. So wait, does he accidentally stumble across the alien base and free them? That's gonna be a hell of a coincidence again. Well, there's the pipe, so sure. Oh, only for a year. Okay. Oh no, he gets caught. Now that I think about it, I think Ebira Horror of the Deep is my favorite of Masaru Sato's Godzilla scores. Because there's some pieces of music that just don't work for this movie. Whereas in Ebira, I think all the music works. So the creepy trench coating, the creepy trench coated mirrored sunglasses guy laughing at everything he says, acting all sinister, ended up being a member of Interpol. Huh. Okay. You know, you could have like not acted all sinister. Secret agent man. What's that? I know that I've heard that. Secret agent man. What is that? I know I've heard that somewhere. Oh, it's a song. Okay. Yeah, you're all about the Daisu. No. Okay, yeah, I feel like yeah, I've heard that song somewhere beforehand. I like how he gets shot, but only his hand turned into a monkey paw. What kind of code names are those? Okay, this is going on a little longer than it should. It's like, we know they're going to be safe. Just just save them already. What is your opinion on the original Planet of the Apes? It's one of the greatest science fiction films ever made. But I've never seen any of the sequels in the original series. I only saw the original, the dreadful Tim Burton remake, and the Caesar trilogy, as I guess it's called, as the prequel reboot trilogy. Those are the only ones I've seen. And the only one I really don't like is the Tim Burton one. Why would you shoot the lamp up there? Like it's out of the way, and that would just give them enough time to shoot you guys. Like, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Funny how the stairs light up with the emergency alert. Sure. Sure, he knows that something's wrong. Wait. Okay, Jude Fukuda's got to stop doing that. Like, he's got to stop faking everyone out, thinking that they actually got killed in a car explosion. Yeah, that Godzilla versus Gigan car trick. Okay, that's funny how they keep that line from the dub. I'm gonna go back inside and take care of those bastards. Um, I guess, who was it that said pacing was good about this movie? Does have Shea Smithers. I mean, early on it has some good pacing, but in the middle here, I just feel like it drags like crazy. The monster stuff's awesome, but here in the middle, it drags. And we haven't even gotten to the sequence where they summon King Caesar. Because you want to talk about a sequence that drags for far too long. That is it. Yes, let's just go back in there. I love how the film just freezes frame so they could do that transformation effect. Tenkoth says, "Hey, I know who you are. Welcome to the stream." Even when they're in human form, they just bring in those weird monkey sound effects. It's funny how their blood is black. I say that's so much better than like that's legitimately more creepy than the cockroach aliens, which is just the cockroach aliens are just so they were the worst aliens in the Godzilla series, honestly, from Godzilla versus Gigan. Okay, so a character that didn't even appear that often in this movie came in to help them. Okay, anytime now. Yo, that one tiny statue shoots lasers powerful enough to blow a hole in the side of a mountain. To unleash that thing. So, if they went straight to Mechagodzilla's repair bay, what did they think they were gonna do? To destroy Mechagodzilla from there? What was their plan? If you were a superhero, what would you call yourself? I'm not going to answer that question because I'm not good at naming things, really. So the statue wasn't really used to awaken King Caesar. It was just to show his location. Now, here's the part of the movie that just takes forever. Although this is the first time I've ever seen this song subtitled. The fading stars. It's daytime. Wait, beneath the fading stars? Like... Well, that's a cool compositing shot right there. I will say though, this is not as bad as the scene in Mothra vs. Godzilla where the twins are trying to hatch the egg, because that sequence is intercut with Godzilla rampaging and fighting the self-defense force. This one, at least, again, it goes for too long, longer than it should go, but at least it doesn't cut away to anything else happening in the movie. Nice. Okay, there was a comment that I'm not going to say by name, but there was a comment that didn't show up on your guys' feed that's waiting for my approval. That I'm not, I don't, let me just say this. I do not endorse, like body shaming at all. So, you know who you are. Just don't body shame anyone. Really, please. Yeah, just what I said, Justin Toner. Like, except in Mothra vs. Godzilla, it's worse because, again, it goes on longer than... It goes on for like 10 minutes because it's intercut with other scenes. This doesn't take very long, and King Caesar's already woken up with an explosion for some reason. I like how the ears just stand upright. All right, here we get the final battle. Yes, okay, guys, I want you to act in the fakest way possible that you are being electrocuted. Whatever. And there's there might not be any stock footage in this movie, but that music right here, where this music playing right here is stock music from Son of Godzilla, where during the big final battle with Godzilla and Kumanga. King Caesar gets his ass kicked. I'm sure he's doing fine right now. King Caesar is the one who's proven to be a match for Mechagodzilla. Being deflecting his lasers, knocking Mechagodzilla to the ground. But now we're at the point where Mechagodzilla gets the upper hand. Just that chest laser made a clean cut. You know, whenever they have to simulate a monster being kicked and tossed across like the field, it always bugs me when they do it with strings. Like, I get that they want to have the suit actor in the suit as they're doing it to kind of show more weight, but it just really looks like the monster that's being tossed across is floating. I would have rather been satisfied if they just took a dummy and just tossed it to simulate more of like it being thrown. It's like, I'm going to karate chop you and feed you my hand. Here it comes again. I don't think that prophecy has shit to do with Godzilla being here. I think he just wants revenge against Mechagodzilla. Like, screw a prophecy. We'll have to teach him another lesson. Okay, putting that pipe in your back pocket must be very uncomfortable. Yeah, this movie definitely is better than the last three, I'd say. No, four. Yeah, in terms of like all the Showa Godzilla movies, this is probably the best one since Invasion of the Astro Monster. I like that arm gesture. God damn it. Yeah, that couch that they're sitting on is just looks so uncomfortable. Yeah, that's a funny thing that Razorbike pointed out, that like this Godzilla suit, like the head keeps changing, and it just makes Godzilla look more meaner. That's not correct. It makes Godzilla look more angry. Huh. Weird that King Caesar didn't reflect those lasers that time. And then Mechagodzilla just decided to be a dick and destroy those houses for no reason. The cool thing about Mechagodzilla in this movie is that, like, as the movie goes on, we just discover more of his powers. And then Mechagodzilla decides to just unleash everything. Oh, this will make good stock footage for the next movie. Would this be my favorite fight in the Showa era? Not by a country mile. Um, I would still go for King Kong versus Godzilla and Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster in terms of the best fights in the Showa era. Mechagodzilla really is packing. Like he's got finger missiles, knee missiles, toe missiles, laser eyes, stomach lasers. It really is good to know that, even though the last couple movies were really look dirt cheap, especially Gigan and Megalon, that it looks like they spent some sort of money on this. That must be a continuity error because, okay, that must be one of the things where they had a shot where Godzilla was spewing blood, but it must have not worked because it's weird that Godzilla wouldn't bleed and then he's automatically covered in blood. And for some reason, the missiles, rather than blowing up on contact, they just stick into Godzilla. Not sure why the missiles decide to stick this time. And Godzilla should be bleeding out after those missiles came out. And now plot convenience. Bleeding like a stuck pig. I don't think I want to know what that means. Do 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 do. Because we're all thinking it. Everyone's made that joke, but I know we're all thinking that right now. Even though this movie came out 3 years before Star Wars. Okay, somebody said it better. Justin Toner compared him to Scorpion. Get over here. Gzilla 100, don't give YouTube any ideas. Their copyright system's already broken enough. I'm kidding. I don't think you can... I don't think this video can get a claim if I'm humming the theme. I think I'm good. You know, if Godzilla had just gotten closer to Mechagodzilla without using plot convenience, then he could have beaten Mechagodzilla easily. Even dying, he goes out cool. Or calm. Okay, what is the white stuff coming out of his face? Oh, the keys. So he's just gonna leave his pipe there? Then Godzilla gets blown into the ocean. Okay, I just realized the shot in Terror of Mechagodzilla during the prologue where they show the space titanium falling into the ocean, that's not in this movie actually. They just put that in for the sequel. I love how all these explosion sound effects are just kind of like stepping all over each other. It would be hilarious if they didn't make it out alive. And then King Caesar, you know, if King Caesar is like actually a living creature, or is he just a statue that came to life? They don't, do they really explain what King Caesar is? And there's the end of the movie. Yeah, I don't agree that this movie moves fast. I mean, it's not bad. Yeah, this movie's not bad, but I think it just drags like crazy in the middle. Especially with the King Caesar song. That goes on forever. But still entertaining, better than the last couple movies. This used to be one of my top 10 favorite Godzilla movies, but after reviewing the entire series 2 years ago, back in 2018, I just it's got problems to where it's not one of my favorites. Let me actually check where it is in my ranking. I just gotta find my list on Letterboxd. But while I'm doing that, I just want to say thank you guys for once again joining me on this watch along. If you're watching this in post, please come on by, watch these live. This Thursday will be the last Godzilla movie in the original series. And honestly, the last one you could actually watch on the Criterion Channel or HBO Max. Terror of Mechagodzilla, because from here on out, after Terror of Mechagodzilla, the rest of the movies, the only way you're really going to watch them is if you either rent them on YouTube or if you own them. By the way, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla is actually number 17 on my list of Godzilla movies. And Terror of Mechagodzilla is just one notch above it. Yeah, so yeah, again, thank you guys for joining. And if you really like what I'm doing with the channel, whether it's these watch-alongs or just my reviews in general, and you want to help financially support the channel, if you want to help to financially support the channel, you can go over to patreon.com/TheRealMrRobinson. And for $1 a month, I can start doing these live watch-alongs for you guys. That way, because again, as I said beforehand several times, I'm only doing the Godzilla series and the Marvel Cinematic Universe for all of YouTube because of the pandemic. If you guys want me to do more watch-alongs, go over to patreon.com/TheRealMrRobinson, as I said beforehand, and you would be able to get access to watch-alongs that only you guys get to see. And even if you just donate $1 a month. If you cannot support the channel financially, that's totally fine. Sharing this channel and your YouTube subscriptions are just good enough right there. And I don't quite get that Giona thing that Sean Clifford is trying to say, but hopefully that's not some sort of curse that you laid upon me. But until then, this is the real Mr. Robinson telling you there's only one.